So I'm working on some background music here in Energy XT, and I wanted to show you, this whole first part, this is all coming from one synthesizer. I have several different MIDI tracks here, but they're all triggering this virtual synthesizer, which is a digital analog subtractive synthesizer, and it sounds really good. It's really, really simple, which I like because it makes it really quick to create new sounds. And this started with a preset called the synth brass, as you can see here, and I've adjusted some of the attack, the cutoff, and the decay or the release, and to try to get something that's kind of, it's an interesting patch because the lower notes sound more like brass, a synthesizer version of a brass, like kind of 80s, 90s brass. But the higher notes sound more like a string. And also velocity, the velocity changes. So I played it live, recorded the input from my MIDI keyboard here, so that the velocity is all very human and organic. So this is what it sounds like, and you can see all this sort of teal green color here, this or seafoam green color, is the synth, and it's all one synth. All these different parts are triggering the same synth. The only other sound that you're going to hear, this first part, is this audio file, which is a crash cymbal, and I'll play it here. It just goes in reverse. And it's really, really low in the mix, but it helps to kind of create a bit of lift and dynamics. Okay, and then the bass comes in, and the bass is this super simple Tau bass line. It's a really old VST synthesizer. It's modeled after the SH-101. I love it. I've used it for a lot of bass lines, and it's basically just a sine wave, a little bit of a pulse with like an octave down, a little bit of portamento, and then I put my Ruby tube, and I jack up the limiter, or the drive on the limiter quite a bit, because if you don't distort your bass at least a little bit, some kind of soft distortion, you're not going to be able to hear it on smaller speakers. And I like the Ruby tube because it's not like a guitar distortion or overdrive. It's more of a tape saturation, like a console compression saturation. So these parts just create this really big kind of epic, it's all synthesized, but sort of this orchestral quality, or almost like a movie score trailer soundtrack. reminds me of the Matrix. Remember the Matrix, the original, the first one, which Crystal Method worked on some of the music for that soundtrack. Oh, so what I've got on here is, I'm starting with a reverb. I really like the built-in reverb in Energy XT, and it's really, really easy to use. I put it when I want something just to be super wet, like in a big cathedral. I'll put it on as an insert. I also have the reverb as a send effect, so I'm using it both ways actually on this channel. But I've got the insert effect here. And I've taken the mix amount down to 50%. So 50% of the dry signals also coming through. And after the reverb, I have a chorus. So it's taking that reverb and then widening it, pushing it out to the left and right even further. And I really like this chorus 60, which is another TAL plugin. It emulates the chorus that's on the old Juno 6 synthesizer. And it's just a really, really rich sound. This is with it off, on. And then finally in the chain, I've got G set or G max, which is just a limiter. Because once I have all of these notes playing here, you can see the limiter kind of pushing it back down. Because this still will only be one sound or one instrument. It's just a lot of notes stacked on top of each other. So it's a really big sound. And then I've widened it and added reverb. So it's just this sort of big epic sound. But I wanted to control it so that it's not just also building in volume the entire time, right? I wanted to kind of keep it in a pocket volume wise. So also so that the first part doesn't sound too weak. So it's kind of boosting where it's quieter and then pushing back down where it gets louder.